What is up, guys? Justin here with another rather large pickup video for you today. Actually, all the stuff in this video comes from the same guy that I picked all that stuff up from in the last video that I posted. That was a few weeks ago now. I do apologize for going a while without uploading a video. I have found some stuff between now and then, but it's gotten to the point where I don't feel that it's necessary to film a pickup video just to show the same stuff that I've shown in 10 other pickup videos. But I definitely got some unique stuff in this deal. And I guess I mean that both in a good way and a bad way. I may have gotten a little bit burned on this deal, but I'll explain more about that when I get into showing the games and stuff. But let's start this video out on a little bit more of a positive note with some of the systems and robots that I got with this deal. I'll just go ahead and show these first. I got two Rob the Robots with this deal, and I was pretty pumped about these. Believe it or not, I have never owned a Rob the Robot before. And so even just to get them as like a display piece or something, I was really excited. I do believe I did get a complete Rob between the two of these here. This one is in better condition. It has the claws on the front here. They are both missing the battery compartments on the bottom. I guess I could replace those if I wanted to. I'm not sure that I will. And then I did get kind of a bag of accessories here, and I think this is everything that I would need to use one. Here's the piece that you put the controller in, and this pushes down the A and the B buttons. Here's the piece here that I believe the gyros sit in before they're spinning. Sorry, I don't know all the official terminology for these parts and pieces, but here are the two gyros here. And then this piece here that I was having a lot of fun with last night is the gyro spinner. So I threw a D battery in here, and I'm going to see if I can get this spinning for you guys. There it goes. I'll pick it up in a well, I guess I can show you guys right now. These things actually get spinning pretty fast. I was kind of impressed, so I don't know. I'll take it off here and set it down and see how long this spins for while I get into some of these other systems that I got here. So yeah, two Rob the Robots, and then I also got two blue Game Boy Advance SP systems. These are both 001 models. This one here is in a little bit better shape. This one's got some scratching on the front of it there. But I did test both of these, and both of these do work. And then also, I got this, which was pretty cool, a Sega Nomad system. Now this is the second Nomad that I've owned. If you guys remember, I picked one up at a garage sale, actually. That was 2 or 3 years ago now. This one looks to be in a little bit better shape. The screen is not perfect on it. You probably can't tell. It's a little bit scratched up, but not bad. The other one that I had was really scratched up, so this is a little bit of an upgrade. I did test this actually while I was at the guy's house to make sure that it worked, because I know they're a little bit temperamental, and it seemed to be working perfectly fine. So I think it'd be really cool to eventually get one of these in the box. I think that'd be a really nice display piece, but in the meantime I'll probably hang on to this one. And there goes the gyro, so I don't know. I think those things can spin up to 5 minutes, I've heard, but I don't think that was quite 5 minutes. But anyway, moving on to, I'll just show these quick here. There's a 4-switches 2600 system. I've not tested this since I don't have a power cord for it. And then there was a PS2 FAT system, which actually I just got done testing before I filmed this video. This works. And then this here, a big case of Sega Game Gear stuff, and let's see if I can open this without everything falling out. I'll show the games in a second, a little more close-up. I'll do a close-up of them. They're a little hard to show like this, but here is the system here, which is in pretty nice shape for Game Gear standards. I did test this at his place as well, because I know these are really temperamental. You know, if the speaker works, the screen doesn't. If the screen works, the speaker's blown out or whatever. That's my experience with them. But this one's in good shape. Got a copy of Sonic in the back there. Also in here was a Game Gear Game Genie. I don't know that I've had one of these before. And then it came with the power cord. So I'll do a close-up of these games here so you guys can get a better look at them. There was nothing too special. I mean, there was no like Mega Man or Shining Force or anything in there, but there was some decent games. A couple Streets of Rage games, a couple of the more unorthodox Sonic games. There's so many Sonic games for the Game Gear, but yeah, overall it was a pretty nice Game Gear lot. So let's move into a bunch of the games that I got, and I will tell you the story about how I may have gotten a little bit burned here. So I got a couple stacks of NES games with this deal, but there was two NES games in particular that were the main reason that I even wanted this entire deal, and the only reason that I offered anywhere close to what I did for everything. Of course, I'll let you guys know what I paid for everything at the end of the video, but it was on the very high end of what I was willing to go. And so I guess I'll show what these games are. It was a copy of Darkwing Duck and a copy of DuckTales 2, both of which I still needed for my collection, which is why I was willing to pay a little bit of a premium on them. So while I was there, I checked the games out. I looked at them and I was like, oh, they're in really nice shape, and kind of just took the guy's word for it. However, when I got home, I examined them a little bit closer, and upon looking at the label, I was like, there's something not right about this label. The resolution isn't what it should be. I've seen how many thousands of NES games in my life. I know what a label is supposed to look like, and this was not it. And then you get down to the bottom of the cartridge, and sure enough, in tiny print, it says, reproduction label. It says that on both the DuckTales 2 and the Darkwing Duck, and I was just devastated, right? But I was like, you know what, I'm at least going to take them apart and check out the boards. It took me like an hour and a half to take these games apart because the screws in the back of them were so stripped that I had to try every trick in the book just to get these things open without breaking the cartridge. But when I did, I was surprised to see that the boards looked legit. I'm not an expert on game boards, and I'm not going to pretend to be in this video, but what I did was, I'll show some pictures of the boards here. I took some pictures of my boards and compared them to some that I could find online. So for the DuckTales 2, I just went to eBay. I looked at some of the higher end DuckTales 2 listings because people take apart the game, take a picture of their board to show that it's an authentic copy, and compared mine to those pictures, and it looked exactly the same. Everything about it was exactly the same, down to like the red dot on the back of the board. So I did the same thing for the Darkwing Duck board. That one was a little bit harder to find a comparison picture of online, just because it's like a $40 or $50 cartridge, and not a lot of people are taking it apart to take a picture of the board. But the one that I did find didn't look exactly the same as mine, but it was like 95%. The only difference I could find, mine said standard micro systems on these chips or these ROMs, whatever you call them here, and the one that I compared it to did not say that. All the numbers and everything on them were the same, it's just mine said standard microsystems. So, I don't know, I'm looking for some insight on these. I don't want to do anything with them until I know for sure what they are. So I'm hoping someone can shoot me a message on Facebook or drop some comments down below and let me know if you think they are legit copies of the game. I did throw them in my top loader. They boot up to the correct games. They are DuckTales 2 and Darkwing Duck. It just kind of confuses me why there would be legit game boards in repro cases. So I don't really want to add these to my collection, being that they are repro labels. So I'll just hang on to them until I know for sure what they are, and then see if I can do something with them. Again, if anyone has any insight, please send me a message or drop a comment and let me know. Let's move on to the other NES games that I got though. So for the rest of these games here, I'm just going to kind of pan over them like I have been doing, since there was really nothing too special in here. So for the NES, I think the two highlights were a couple copies of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! The rest of them were all pretty common. There was like a Mick Kids in there that was really beat up. There was a TNC Surf Designs Thriller Safari, which I don't have for my collection yet, but that one was really beat up as well. So yeah, nothing too special there. And then for the Super Nintendo, there was a Super Mario World, a Donkey Kong Country 2, and that was really it for the highlights. There was Wario's Woods, like a Pack Attack in there, Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday, but the rest of them were all pretty common titles. And then for the Genesis, there was really nothing too special. Revenge of the Shinobi was probably the best one that I got. There was a bunch of sports games in there. A game called Combat Cars, which I don't think that I've ever had before. And also Sega related, there was a couple Sega Saturn packing games, Virtua Fighter 2 and Virtua Cop. And for the Saturn, there was actually a loose disc copy of Astral, which was kind of a bonus. I didn't even see that in there until I got home. And that's like a $45 disc only, I think. It's a little bit scratched up, and I'm sure it'll play. And there was just a stack of Dreamcast sports games. And I actually did get quite a few GameCube games with this deal, but it was nothing, there was no Marios or Zeldas or anything. It was all pretty common titles, some SpongeBob's, and quite a few sports games, some Pac-Mans and stuff like that. And then for the Wii, it was basically just a stack of shovelware. I don't even really have anything to talk about with those ones. There was one DS case with the deal. It was like Igor, but inside was a copy of Super Mario 64. And then for the PS2, it was like more SpongeBob's and like a Simpsons hit and run and whatever. So sorry if I went through those quickly, but those just weren't the highlight of this deal by any means. There were a few more things at the end here that I wanted to show though. The first of which being a CDI game, Hotel Mario. I've never owned a CDI game before. Definitely never owned a CDI system before, but I mean, to get this was pretty cool. I'll have to replace the case. The front of it's cracked and coming off there, but it does have the manual in here and the disc, which I believe does have some scratching on it. But yeah, I mean, I would assume it would play fine. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to test it since I don't foresee myself having a working CDI anytime in the near future. But that was still kind of cool to get a Mario game on a system that isn't Nintendo. So that was one of the highlights of the deal. I think this goes for like probably $60, $75 in good condition. I don't know what this one would go for. There was also one 3DO game, Alone in the Dark. And then this here, which was kind of intriguing, I believe it's a Neo Geo multi-cart. I mean, it just says multi-game 150 in 1, Series 1 on the front there. And then up here, there's some like warranty seal from JamaBoards.com. So I'm not going to pretend to know anything about the Neo Geo. I don't know which Neo Geo this would play in, but hopefully someone can drop a comment and let me know. I don't have a Neo Geo. I don't know anyone that does, so this is probably just going to... It's not even a display piece. It's just a yellow brick, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this, but it was kind of interesting, so I figure I might as well at least show it. And there were a few accessories that I wanted to show individually as well. I got a big box of cords and stuff with this deal that I'm not going to show individually, but there was some good stuff in there. There was like 4 or 5 Super Nintendo AC adapters. There was a bunch of official RF adapters for like the NES or the Super Nintendo. There was a few miscellaneous controllers and stuff in there as well, but a couple of these I wanted to highlight were a Jaguar RF adapter, which if you guys remember my last video, I did get a Jaguar system from this guy and a controller, but it didn't have either of the cords. So I hung out with Ryan the other weekend. He brought over his Jaguar cords, so I tested the system and it does work. And now that I have this, I just need a power adapter for it. So I guess that's half the battle there. And then these here, which were kind of cool, wireless Super Nintendo controllers. They're Acclaim brand. But there's 2 controllers and then this, which I would assume is the receiver for them. So I think I've owned maybe one of these before, but I don't know that I've ever had like a receiver and everything for them. So these will be kind of cool to try out anyway. So now the big question is, what did I pay for everything? And as I mentioned earlier in the video, this was at the very high end of what I would have offered for everything. And this was assuming that the DuckTales 2 and the Darkwing Duck were legit games for my collection. So I paid $500 for everything that I just showed. So did I get burned on this deal? Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think I'm going to do alright overall. Even though those 2 NES games were not what I thought they were, I still got the Rob the Robots, still got the working Sega Nomad, got the Hotel Mario, the Astral disc, big Game Gear lot, and some of those cartridge games that I got were decent. So I think I'm going to be able to get my money back on this deal and end up with some free stuff. That being said, it's a lot of work to go through to end up with, a free Rob the Robot and and a bunch of cords and stuff. But I guess all in all, it could have been worse. So anyway, $500. Not my greatest deal, but you know, there was definitely some interesting stuff in here that I wanted to show. If anybody knows anything about this Neo Geo multi-cart or those NES games that I was asking about earlier, please shoot me a message on Facebook or even on YouTube. I'll find it eventually, or drop a comment down below. I'll see it quicker, and let me know. I would really appreciate it. I do appreciate you guys sticking around and checking out this whole video, and until next time, take care.